Just as quickly as it got here, Auburn football's spring practice and A-Day game are gone. Now that it's all finished, let's talk about what stuck out to us, our takeaways from this event in spring practice, and what it means for the future of the program. But before we get started, I want to welcome you back to the channel. Whether you're a member of the Auburn family or a fan of another persuasion, this is the E2C network where the Auburn family speaks. Our content may tend to be Auburn sports heavy, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any content. And thank you to members of our booster club like Elizabeth Owen, who help produce videos like this. Spring football to me is always like that little teaser. It's just enough, but not quite enough to satiate the desire for us to talk about and be involved in football. And now we're gonna have to wait for several months to get involved back in that again. But nonetheless, let's sit back and talk about what stuck out to us from Auburn's annual A-Day game on the Plains. By the way, one of the coldest that I've ever been at. Still was a lot of fun with a lot of sun. Just wish it hadn't been so chilly. It's a spring game after all. It's not supposed to be cold, right? So I've come up with 5 takeaways that stuck out to me after watching the game in person, sitting back and kind of thinking on some team and watching some replays of certain things. These are the things that I think are most important that I take away from everything that I saw in the game and in spring practice. So let's start with number 1, and that is, of course, we can't go too far without talking about this because I know that's all in y'all's minds. Quarterbacks, quarterbacks, quarterbacks. Now, nothing has been decided, but I will say that everything has changed all the same. I came into this with a certain notion that I thought I was going to walk away with after the spring game in the quarterback position. That's completely been changed, and I will be doing an updated video of my percentage confidence of who will start as Auburn's quarterback in the fall, and that will be coming up very soon, so stay tuned for that. And I just want to say it's really nice to have this much depth of capable quarterbacks that potentially could be your starter on day 1 in 2022. I will talk more about them in the other video, but just briefly, TJ Finley didn't do a whole lot to help his case outside of a touchdown pass, but it's not like he had a terrible day, just wasn't as good as I was hoping that he would have. Robbie Ashford showed a lot of versatility, why he's so athletic, with a little bit of inaccuracy as well. And then Holden Geriner, for a true freshman, that was pretty good, sir. Like I said, more coming up on that later, but those are just some quick initial reactions that I have. Number 2 takeaway, wide receivers, and I was shocked how pleased I was with what I saw out there. Now, still miles to go, still a lot to figure out because there's players that haven't gotten onto the team yet that were part of the recruiting class or transferred in that are going to be factoring in to this equation. But I will say from what I saw, and we're going to throw tight ends into the mix here too, Auburn may have a lot better options than I initially gave them credit for. Now, this is a spring game. Take it for what you want, but it's still an encouraging sign to see. Most notably, I want to bring up a couple names. Malcolm Johnson Jr., who was kind of buried in the depth for a long time, and all of a sudden comes out in the spring game and does pretty dang good with a touchdown pass to boot. Landon King was probably the star because he was the one that ended his time at A-Day so well with that amazing catch at the very end with a touchdown, kind of a circus catch. And let's not forget that it's so easy to because of that amazing play at the end of the spring game. Brandon Frazier, the tight end, had some great catches, even a circus one on the sideline himself that kind of gets forgotten about because of how amazing Landon King and Holden Geriner were together at the very end of the spring game. Oh, and then by the way, there's Shanker. And of course, the many other names that we have there as well that are going to be contributing, whether it be Shedrick Jackson, Javarius Johnson, or Zevion Capers. Auburn's got a lot of options, and I'm really excited about what the potential could be now. Takeaway number 3, the mood of the team. It's no shock. It's been a pretty tough season. It's been an even tougher offseason. It's been tough, man. But it was nice. It really was. Fans, players, coaches alike, it seems like we're all ready to move on. And it's just so refreshing to see that. And a lot of that's attributable to how the team's carrying themselves and handling themselves on and off the field. It's been a big focus on PR pushes, especially with social media, showing the team having fun together, doing things. We even had a player receive a scholarship. Just a lot of good stuff that you really want to see start reinstilling that faith, that trust, and that belief in this team, and that starts with little things like that. I saw players flying all over the field giving amazing effort, but I also saw them having fun. I mean, every quarterback was celebrating each other's triumphs in big ways, and they didn't seem like forced or anything like that, doing little dance moves and all these kind of things. It was just a really refreshing thing. I even remember one moment I think it was Donovan Kaufman. He had gotten playfully slapped on the head and ran over and slapped the other guy on his rear end, and it was really funny to watch that happen and them chase each other around. Just a nice balance, taking it serious, but also having fun together. And that's what football is all about, having fun. Obviously, winning championships as well. Number 4 takeaway for me is the defense identity. Now, basically, we don't still have an answer for that because they played in so many different sets in the spring game. There was the 3-4, the 4-3. They threw it all out there. And I think, honestly, that's going to be a necessity for this team. There are some depth situations at certain positions. Not terrible, but just not ideal. And there are also some inexperience at certain positions. So I think you're going to need to have some flexibility to kind of piece together what's going to work best for this team at certain points throughout the season. Obviously, we don't know how everything's going to shake out with injuries and knock on wood and everything else. A couple positions of note, Cam Riley seemed to really show that he's ready to be part of that rotation with Wesley Steiner and Owen Pappoe should he be healthy again and ready to go. I think that was an encouraging sign from him. And also, it's really nice to see names of the defensive back position, Marquise Gilbert, DJ James, to see them in action, who will likely be part of this rotation, if not starting at their particular positions in the defensive backfield. And number 5, the young talent. This really feels... I'm kind of feeling like a new beginning for Auburn. And I know that's a big statement. It may be just a little bit overplaying things a little bit. But the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, I'm really liking what I see out of the young talent at Auburn. And that's not telling you to ignore this season because that's going to take a while to develop that talent. But I really just feel encouraged about what I saw out there. There were big names on offense and defense. Let's talk about some offense stuff. Sean Jackson, he's the big story probably the offseason with winning a scholarship, being a walk-on, because of his effort, his heart, and his drive, and that doesn't seem to have slowed him down at all. He came out and showed that he plays with a chip on his shoulder and is ready to show that he deserves a few carries along with Tank and Jarquez. Tavares Dawson continues to show with all the hype that he started accumulating for himself during last fall practice that might be carrying over to this season. He was the leading receptions guy today for the wide receivers amongst a group that got a lot of looks at them. On defense, Dylan Brooks led the way with 5 tackles. It was nice to see that talent getting really into the mix early on. And then Caleb Wooden, young guy, going to be a true freshman. He might be ready to be in the rotation at defensive backs as well. We'll just have to wait and see, but I liked what I saw on Saturday. So those are my takeaways. And again, keep in mind, it's hard to really take substantial stuff from a spring game. It's really just a first early look at what might be coming for the 2022 season. But those are the things that stuck out to me. Now I want to hear from you in the comments section below. What did you think? What stuck out to you? Is there anything that I missed that you'd like to bring up? Keep that conversation going down below. If you enjoy this type of content, please do help support it by smashing that like button. And if you want more from us, be sure to hit the subscribe along with the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads or live streams. If you want ways to help support what we do here, hit that join button here to be part of the channel membership program for $1 a month. Or you can head over to patreon.com/E2C network to sign up for $1 a month and higher there for different perks and different tiers. That's another option for you. Thank you for tuning into the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks. War Eagle.